Just got out of the shower, and I typically come up with a lot of good ideas in the shower, but I never take action on a lot of them. I play them out in my mind, and I get motivated about them. But by the time I actually get out of the shower, I either never write them down, or the kids are haven't fallen asleep yet, and I create some type of excuse to not follow through. And I think that is my problem with a lot of things that I do. And the reason why I'm doing this video right now is because I haven't stepped on the scale in a long time, and I typically try not to be too concerned with that kind of thing. I do pay attention to the things that I eat. Now, I'm not a super health nut by any means, but I do try and make sure I do put healthy things in my body. But during this time of quarantine, been pretty much just living life, just eating whatever and not really exercising the way that I know that I can and that I know that I should. But I've been here before. I've been at this place before where I usually get to a specific weight. I feel it in my body. I just know my body. I played sports all through high school. I played sports in college, and from spending as much time playing sports on both of those levels, there's just certain things that stick with you, right? And knowing how my body feels and how it makes me happy is definitely something that I'm in tune with. So whenever I get to specific points, I know that hey, it's time to start exercising. It's time to start doing something. So I don't want to ramble too much in this first video, but I really just wanted to sit in front of the camera and just record and just really get this off my chest, that it's like every year I get to this point where I get motivated to start exercising and to not necessarily build a routine, but I'm just trying to get better at this whole healthy lifestyle thing. Trying to find a program, or just trying to find habits that work for me. So if you're someone that's in that same predicament, then hopefully you can join me in on this journey, and we can support each other, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day. It's all about having someone to support you and having somebody to hold you accountable, during the times when you don't want to exercise or you don't want to do specific things. That's why it's always good to, when you go to the gym, to have a gym buddy. You always have that extra person to push you. And I'm not a fitness trainer. I'm not a gym rat. I'm just an ex-college athlete who is a dad now, and I'm just trying to find what works for me. I've tried, strength training. I've tried high intensity interval training. I've tried MyFitnessPal. I've tried Noom. I've tried all these different programs just to try and give me some structure. And a big part of it is that when you play sports, you're kind of locked into a specific structure, right? You have your weight training programs, you have your practices, and it's just it's like clockwork, right? You know that at this specific time during the day, you're going to go to practice, you're going to go to the gym and do whatever you got to do. And the thing that's pushing you is because you have to compete, right? You have to compete in games, you have to compete in practice, and you want to be able to maintain that edge. But once the game is done with you and you're in reality, or you're in real life, and now you're a parent, and now you're just working and things like that. Wherever you are in your journey in life, a lot of that changes a lot of things. And I think I'm just still trying to hold on to that little bit of athlete inside of me, because I know that's really who I am. I'm just really bad at being consistent with things, and I've been neglecting doing this kind of like vlog, like what do you want to call this, confessional type thing, just as a way to hold myself accountable. And if I decide to actually post this, maybe if you're watching this right now, then hopefully, you never know, you might be in the same predicament as me, you might be in the same situation, you might have a similar story, and you might just be looking for somebody to vibe with, might be looking for somebody to share in that journey with yourself. So I've done it all, man. I've researched routines. You've bought like basic dumbbell set, which was pretty awesome, by the way. Hopefully I can get around to showing you guys that and sharing you guys with that, because I went through stages in my life where, because I was an ex-athlete, it was like, okay, I felt like if I was going to the gym, an actual gym, that it would actually motivate me to reach the goals that I wanted to. And not for nothing, there were times in my life, or specific periods in my life, where having access to a gym and not having to pay like a ton of money for a gym membership worked for me. There was a point in time in my life where me and my family were living in a pretty nice apartment complex, and they had a small gym. I won't say it was small, it was a decent sized gym, but it got to a point where I figured out what times work for me to go to the gym. Like, I'm really introverted, and I get intimidated a little bit when I go to the gym, which is really weird, because just to tell you guys a little bit, I'm 6'5", and right now I'm 240. Usually I hover around that 230 area, but my ultimate goal is to get down to 215, 210, maybe even 200. 200 is like, the ultimate goal. But if I get down to 200, I want to actually add some lean muscle. I don't want to be 200 and be 6'5" and not add some lean muscle. But the 215, 220 is like my comfort range, and I know I can do it because I've done it before. But it's just these peaks and valleys where you catch a momentum, and then either you stop working out for a day or a week, life happens, and then the next thing you know, 2 years has gone by and you're back to square one. So I've really been thinking about this, because now that we have all this time on our hands, we're on lockdown with this whole quarantine business. And luckily for me, like I live in a home where I don't have a huge garage. Actually, it is a pretty big garage, but right now my car is in there and we use it for storage. And there's a little small area for workout. We have a treadmill, and like I said, I bought this dumbbell set off of Amazon, which is basically I think it has 5 pound to 25 pound dumbbells. Now 25, I mean, it might seem like it's not a lot, but there's a lot you can do with dumbbells. And I've developed several routines and things like that. So I think usually when I get around this stage where I'm at 240, the light bulb goes off in my head, and I'm just like, okay, someone that's my size, 6'5", 240, might seem normal to someone. You hear it, but like, put into perspective, I don't even know how big he is. LeBron James is like 6'8", like 2 something, right? But he's solid, right? I'm not by any means trying to compare myself to LeBron James. I'm just trying to put into perspective. Like, I'm 6'5", 240. Like, ideally 6'5", 215, 6'5", 225, with a good, just good muscle tone and good lean mass, and just that's like my comfort zone, like I said. And I try to not get too caught up on the whole strength training, even though I know strength training is like a big part of it. But I also, practice yoga, not as much as I should, but I do practice yoga because at the end of the day, what it's really all about for me is being able to take care of my body and put myself in a position where is that I can continue to enjoy playing with my kids and, not have sore muscles and just, not just try and withstand the test of time. I want to be able to be active and stuff with my kids, especially now while they're young. And then when they get older, maybe they get involved in sports and things like that. I want to be able to, be there for them and be able to be active with them. So if there's one thing that drives me to not go overboard, which is why usually when I hit this 240 mark, that light bulb goes off and I'm just like, okay, I'm 40 years old and I don't feel like I'm 40. A lot of people tell me I don't look like I'm 40, but there's only one person that knows how I feel inside, and that's me. And a lot of it has to do with self-confidence. Now, I know when I was in college, like, the self-confidence was a little bit, it wasn't through the roof, but I just, when you're playing sports and you never really have to worry about like what you look like, because you're just automatically going to get either attention from the media because of the sport that you play, or you're going to get attention from your peers because, they recognize you because you're on a team, or especially if that team's doing pretty good, like you're going to get attention whether you want it or not. But once you're out of that spotlight, you have to try and figure out ways to not necessarily give yourself a pat on the back, but you really just kind of want that validation, I guess. And sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not, but at the end of the day, it all comes from within, right? It all comes from within. So don't want to make this video too long, but I guess at the end of the day, I just really wanted to get in front of the camera, press record, and start doing this kind of like vlog thing, because I want to get back into this routine. I want to get back into trying to implement a little bit of exercise back into my life, whether it's doing yoga, whether it's doing strength training, whether it's doing cardio, whatever it is. Now that we have all this time, I really have no excuse. I'm the only reason why I'm not doing things as far as like trying to find the time to do it. In a position right now where I'm in the middle of a career change, so a lot of us aren't, have been affected with work and things like that. So prayers out to you if you happen to lose your job, or you got put on unemployment or whatever because of this whole thing that's going on. Better times are coming, but the way that we stay positive about this thing and the way that we get through this thing is to try and use your time wisely. Now, I voluntarily left my job because I just wanted to pursue things that I was passionate about, and right now I'm in that transition, and I feel okay about where I am. I mean, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy, that's for sure. But during this time, I want to make sure that I'm using my time wisely. And lately, I just haven't felt like that. Like I said, it's peaks and valleys, right? So, it's peaks and valleys. So hopefully, I can continue and stay consistent with these videos. And again, if anything, I'm just going to be doing this for myself, but I feel like the message that I send, and there could be other people out there like me. So I think I already said this, but I'm naturally introverted, so the fact that I'm even recording myself on camera isn't really the easiest thing to do, which is another weird thing considering that I was an athlete and I was just always used to being on camera. But when you're on the court, or you're on the football field, or you're on the baseball diamond or whatever it is. Like, you have the ability to tune things out. You tune out the crowd, you tune out the cameras, and you just kind of perform. And so I still have a little bit of that mentality left, but when you have to sit down in front of a camera and talk to an audience that may or may not be there, it's kind of scary, it's kind of scary, but it's also fun at the same time. I mean, I love video. I love editing and doing things like that. So that's another reason why I'm doing this, is because, hey, it gives me something to edit and it helps me practice my craft. And talking sometimes can be therapeutic, right? So that's what we're doing with this thing. So hopefully I can keep this thing going. I don't know if I'm going to post this, but I already feel better just talking it out, whether there's people on the other end of this listening. If you are, thanks for listening and sticking around this long. Hopefully I'll put out some more videos, and then we'll see how this whole lifestyle thing goes. Maybe I'll post some workout videos, and I want to keep it real with y'all. Like, I basically exercise in my garage because that's the space that I have. Sometimes you just got to work with the cards that you're dealt and make the best out of what you have, as opposed to worrying about what you don't have. And that is what I was doing a lot of. I was making excuses because of the things that I didn't have. I didn't have access to, a top-notch gym, or I didn't have access to specific types of equipment that would help me get the goals that I want. Before, it was like, oh, I need this, I need that. And then it was like, oh, all I need is a pair of dumbbells, and I would be doing so much. And then I got the dumbbell set, and then I went hard for a few weeks, and then it just faded out. And it's just sitting in the garage. So I'm trying to find a way to make a commitment, not only to myself, but just to take better care of my body, and to make sure that I'm around for my kids so that I can be able to enjoy and spend time with them. So I think that's going to be it for this one, man. That's going to be it for this one. And we'll see how this goes. But if you guys are like me and you're in a similar situation, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell, so the next time I post one of these, we can sit down and we can vent and vibe out together. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I know it probably was a little bit boring. It could have been a little bit monotone. This is just how I talk. This is just my normal voice, and I think that's it. So I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.